Okay, so a couple things I wanted to talk about, a little off topic from basic testosterone related. Um, I had said a lot in my previous videos that one of the things I wanted to do a lot on this was document a lot of the psychological impacts of really switching over in gender. I lived most of my life as a very in the middle gender person. I wouldn't say gender queer. I never hid that I was a female, but it would just be one of those things that people, would catch or they wouldn't. I think it's been really interesting to see the changes in. Here's a first one we'll talk about. Before taking testosterone, my ability to be turned on by reading was high. It was more an intellectual stimulation. I had watched pornography and not really, it's porn, everybody gets a little bit off to it, but it wasn't something that really did anything for me. The visual stimulation and watching that gradually increase as I started taking, as I got more and more into taking testosterone was incredible. Because I started being 30, that's kind of a sexual peak for females anyway. So I was really, really surprised to see that was a totally different change, and that those images don't leave. When I kind of tested this out, I was watching porn a little bit, and wow, it nailed me. I had never experienced anything like that, and not being able to get rid of the images once they were there, being able to, having it being in your mind, being behind your eyes as you were carrying that conversation, how much my brain went to that was incredible. I don't want to offend anybody by saying this. This again is a very, this is me and my opinion. I don't want to say I feel like I'm getting dumber, okay? Because that's not accurate. I feel like there's a big change in perception. And I'm curious to know if anybody else has experienced this. Maybe it's because I had a child before I started taking time. I didn't personally have a child I adopted, but being a parent, knowing your surroundings as a female, I think you tend to take a bigger, broader picture of what's around you, and are able to identify danger situations with a much, like I said, broader eye. I feel like I've lost some of that, and not that I haven't gained other things. Like, I feel like in a public situation, I'm more in tune to people that are immediately around me, and immediately around my family. I feel like I'm more in tune to negative energy, whatever, but that vibe. This may sound really weird, but these are just things that have really made me think a lot. Those two in particular were very, very different. I will say this, socially, I feel, maybe this is because I'm just hanging out with, I have a wife and a female roommate, there's a lot of females around me. I feel like I'm losing that subtlety of conversation that women share, that the nuances of conversation that kind of fly over my head now, and I get kind of made fun of it a little bit, like, okay, Jenner, just go do what you're doing, but that is something that I feel is a little different. I don't feel like it's more being dense necessarily. It's just a little different. Men are a lot more social with each other than I realized. Again, being female to male, we're a very interesting group of people because we were brought up as females with very specific ways of working in the world, and about women just aren't as social with other people. They're a little bit more standoffish, and they avoid the eye contact, because I think if you catch eyes with someone as a female that's inviting a conversation, is inviting engagement, where I think we were brought up to maybe that's not what you want. You're supposed to be a little bit more particular. And I noticed, especially in the first few months, like I said, I took to testosterone really well. So in the first few months, I was passing quite a bit, but I was really awkward. As far as I had guys like, "Hey, what's up?" or "Hey, and I just didn't know what to do, how to react. The unspoken man lingo kind of thing. I do notice that there's a lot more of that, and I was having a conversation the other day, and I think a lot of that has to do with knowing that you're okay. Like, if I say, "Hey, what's up?" and you say, "Hey, what's up?" then okay, we're on the same, like, we're cool. I had an interesting interaction with someone that I was walking with my roommate, and she's a very attractive woman, and people do objectify her quite a bit, and this one guy just kind of went a little too far. I just got a really bad vibe from the cat, and I just kind of, I kind of bucked up a little bit, and I wasn't prepared for him to buck up too. And I learned a lesson that day that you have to stay, if you choose to do that, if you choose to be like, "Hey, back off," or whatever, that you can't do that and then back down, which I didn't, but that was something I wasn't prepared for. So there's little things that, I don't think you pay attention to until it's right up on you, or there's not a way to prepare for it, and I think this is beautiful, this YouTube connection, for us all to be able to share those experiences and learn from it, because we are kind of getting baptized by fire with all of this. We haven't had a lifetime of social grooming to be men, even though we may have always been men. It's a struggle. So let's see what else. There's so much. I feel like there's so much I want to say, and then I get here and I get stumped. Talk about my daughter a lot. She's a very tall little girl. She is 2 years and 3 months old, and she comes up to my belt buckle. She's very tall, which is funny because people look at me and they're like, "Yeah, she's not yours," even though she does look a little bit like us. I think that's kind of funny. I don't even know why I'm talking about that. Let's see. I don't even really know what else to talk about. This has been an awesome journey so far. I have to say that, and it's blowing my mind. I guess that's why I wanted to talk about some of this stuff, is that they're unavoidable. They're all changes, and it is not just growing some facial hair and getting your voice deeper. I mean, it is a total change. Hormones are chemicals, and they make everything in you change a little bit. I don't feel like I've lost at all who I am as a person. Through any of this, I feel like I've gotten more in tune with me, but it's definitely a process, and it is a transition all the way through, and I hope to never stop treating it as such. So that was another thing I wanted to put in. I will let everybody go back to their lives. So again, love, luck, happiness, and peace. You guys take care.